You are listening to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast, a show by personal trainers for personal trainers. It's time to become a better trainer, get more clients, and change more lives. And now, here's your host, the head coach and founder of Fitness Mentors, Eddie Lester.
Hey guys, welcome to Fitness Mentors Certified Personal Trainer Podcast. My name is Eddie Lester, and I'm extremely excited to welcome Pat Gamboa to the show. We have welcomed Pat to the Fitness Mentors team, and we're here to talk all about, his experience in the industry, as he has almost 30 years in industry experience and actually was the Chief Operating Officer of ISSA for over a decade. And, Pat's experience runs so deep within this industry, specifically around helping personal trainers succeed in business, as well as help people, obviously achieve their health and fitness goals. And Pat actually himself was also a natural bodybuilder and men's fitness champion through the NPC UNBA, as well as the INBA. So ton of experience. Pat, welcome to the team and welcome to the podcast. How are we doing?
I'm so well. Thank you, Eddie, for allowing me to be part of Fitness Mentors. I'm so excited of what you're doing with Fitness Mentors and what we can achieve together with our students.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So I guess I kind of wanted to start off really quickly by talking about your experience in the industry. Obviously, Fitness Mentors has been around almost a decade, helping students to, we'll say, pass certification exams. And now we've really moved into creating, we'll say, the fitness certification for the modern fitness professional, which, includes so much more than just personal training now, as we look to diversify our ability to help people get healthy and achieve fitness goals online, as well as in the metaverse and unique things like that. But talk to me about kind of how you got into the fitness industry. What sparked your interest, and we can kind of go from there.
Well, I was introduced to the fitness industry almost 30 years ago. I remember it vividly. I was working out at the Gold's Gym in Pasadena. And I was teaching at that time, coaching, basketball, football, track, girls softball. And a lot of my buddies who were working out, they were all doing bodybuilding competitions and were on the covers of magazines and doing modeling. And they're like, hey, you should consider getting into this. And a word of just belief. There was a gentleman, Lonnie Teeper. He writes for Iron Man magazine and teaches over at Cal State LA. I never thought about entering this industry, but he looked at me and one of my friends, Steve, who was just on the cover of Iron Man, and another one of my friends, Ron Harris, who writes, he looked at me and said, hey, you know what? You really should get into this field. And just that little spark of belief from somebody really goes a long way. And that was the start. So I was at the gym and I decided to start taking on clients. But I didn't have fitness mentors back then 30 years ago. So I was really kind of doing it all by myself. So everyone at that time, 30 years ago, 3 decades ago, someone says, hey, you need a certification. I'm like, what is that? They're like, you need to pass a test to go train people. I'm like, so if I pass a test, that's going to qualify me to train somebody effectively? They're like, well, you have to do it or you won't be able to train. So I didn't do it. I already had my degree in exercise physiology. And I'm like, I don't need that. So I started training my first client. Wonderful guy, lawyer, name's Dennis. He worked for Metrics at the time. And this is a big need for why Fitness Mentors and what we're going to do to help guide our students in a pathway to understand exercise programming and how to be successful in business. So I got a quick story to tell. So all my friends are saying, hey, charge $50, charge $60. That's what everybody does. I'm like, great, I'm going to charge $60. So I do the first free session because everybody told me to do a free session, and we're working out. I get to the end of the session And I said, Dennis says, yeah, I want to do a package of 30 with you. I'm like, awesome. 30 times 60 is $1,800. Let's sign up. And Dennis looks me square in the face because he knows I'm brand new. And he goes, since it's a package of 30, I'm only going to pay you $40 per session. And at that time, I didn't have anyone to guide me. So it was my facial mannerisms, my eye contact, my body language, the tone of my voice. He knew that I was unsure of myself. He knew that I was unprepared to negotiate the fee. So as it ends up, he ended up paying $40 a session because I was not prepared. I did not have someone to guide me on how to work with clients and how to deal with the business end. So that was my initial introduction to personal training and fitness. And that was over 30 years ago.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's actually a unique story and probably a story that a lot of new professionals experience often. And actually, I was the same way. I was charging $25 a session for my first clients, and I actually moved to train at an Equinox in South Bay and in Los Angeles, and all of a sudden they were making me charge $85 per session, and my confidence about selling myself for $85 an hour was zero, and I had the hardest time really connecting those dots, and actually had to have my manager sell for me because I was so unsure of myself. So that's something that we make the backbone of here at Fitness Mentors, is to really help, we'll say, new trainers with that business element, and that thing that helps them go into the industry and just have ultimate confidence and be able to sell themselves in a way that they know they're getting what they're worth. So that's a very unique story. Absolutely.
For sure. Definitely.
So talk to me. So, how long did you train for? And then talk to me about your kind of moving into the education side of personal training in the fitness industry.
So, I trained for about 7 years. I moved around just like you. I trained for the big company in Los Angeles, LA Sports Club, at 100 back in the day. That's when the 150 square foot places with full restaurants and giant spas, hair salons, they were all the thing. Mm-hmm. So working in there, over 80 trainers in one location.
Wow.
And really going at it. So I did that, and then I was a floor manager for a few years. And a story I want to share, which is going to be relevant, is we had a lot of different trainers. We had people aspiring to be models. We had bodybuilders. We had powerlifters. We had people who were former athletes. We had people who were transitioning. But on my team of trainers, the person who was the most successful was a little Vietnamese girl named Lisa. She was brand new to the US, still had a slight accent, but she was bringing in close to $30,000 a month by herself.
Wow.
And when we reviewed her client surveys, they said that she was the best listener, was the most encouraging, she was soft-spoken, and she continually followed up, whether at that time, 30 years ago, it was with letter form or with phone calls for encouragement to keep her clients on track. So those are the things that we emphasize now. Keeping in contact, but in different forms with your clients, whether it's text, on Facebook, Instagram, but keeping in contact, staying connected with them, because you need to develop rapport and relationships. And 30 years ago, our most successful trainer, that was her key to success. Understanding programming and the nuts and bolts of how to change people's bodies, but also having a relationship. And that can't be done if you don't keep in contact. And that's a big thing that we try to teach at Fitness Mentors, and what I think is one of the big reasons that separates us from all others in the industry at this point.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, we talk a ton about, accountability, and then accountability through communication. That's something that's so important, especially when we think about, we'll say different pathways to help people achieve their fitness goals. The one thing that stands true across all avenues of helping people is being a great communicator, holding people accountable. And the fitness is almost secondary to the goal achievement when when you're really there to support someone in a way like that. So that's an amazing tip. I love that.
Definitely.
So now talk about post gym life. What brought you to work in the education, we'll say, side of the industry? You've have a ton of experience as a trainer, as a manager of trainers at one of the largest gyms in LA. Well, what brought you on the education side, and talk to me about your experience kind of with ISSA, or the International Sports Science Association.
Well, this was summer of 2000. I was making a transition. I was my then girlfriend and I were in the stages of getting married. So she was moving to the Santa Barbara area, and I was thinking about getting a job as a college professor at Saddleback College in Orange County. So I couldn't do both. So I decided to, pack it up and move to Santa Barbara with my then girlfriend, and we did get married, and it was all in conjunction with one another. So I was sitting at the Santa Barbara Chicken Ranch, and again, this is 2000, and I'm just waiting there for my order, and I look in the newspaper, and it says, "Oh, education tutors needed for ISSA." And at that time, I didn't know what ISSA was, but I'm like, oh, this sounds like something that's up my alley. It's fitness, it's education. So I sent in my resume, and I gave a call, and I got back a letter. And on the letterhead, it had Dr. Salaria's name on it. It had Fred Hatfield's name on it. It had Tom Platt's name on it. It had John Schaefer's name on it. So it had all these names, Dr. Michael Yes's, all these names that I would see back in the day in the Muscle and Fitness, Flex, and all the major magazines. So I'm like, oh, this is something I have to look into. So I go in for an interview, and I always remember this. The person who hired me, her name was Judy, wonderful. And I go in on a Tuesday. She calls me back on a Thursday and says, you know what, we're going to go another direction. And later in life, she tells me she hired her friend, but then her friend didn't want it. So then she calls me on Friday and says, if you want the job, you can have it. So I go on the interview. Me and my wife get married on Saturday. We have Sunday off, and then I start my first day of work on September 11th, 2000, before September 11th. So that all happened within a week. Mm-hmm. And later on, after Judy left, she said, the reason I didn't hire you is because you had way too much energy and too many ideas. She's like, I didn't think you would fit in the company because you had too many ideas. So that was how I came to the ISSA. And I started at the lowest totem pole. I started as an educational support person, and there were, I think we had like 62 employees, and I was literally the lowest person on the totem pole when I started.
Awesome. And talk to me about your experience and kind of working up to become the chief operating officer and your experience there.
So what happened was my first day on the job. I'm sitting in my office in Santa Barbara, and I have my chicken breast, and I have my yams, and I have my broccoli sitting there. This man walks through the door.
That's my go-to lunch, by the way. That's funny that you said it, yeah. Us fitness people, that's funny.
It's still my go-to now. And he sticks his head in, and he says, welcome. And he introduces himself, and it's Dr. Salaria. And I said, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your team. And I said, do you have any advice? And I'll always remember this. He looked at me straight in the eye, and he said, let's take care of each student one at a time. If you do that, you're going to be okay.
Very
And
cool.
that's all I did. So from that point, I went from being the lowest person on the totem pole to I rewrote the main textbook for the ISSA, and we put that out. After I did that, they promoted me to the head of the department. Then
Of student support department?
of educational department.
Education. Cool. Mm-hmm.
So then we had other projects, and I brought in other authors, and I started to write and be the editor for the ISSA's newsletter, which was called Pro Trainer. So I did that, and then 2007, 8-ish, that's when the whole industry got together and said everybody has to get NCCA accreditation. And the focus was going to be switched solely on testing, not the education. It was going to be switched to testing. So a little insider story here, which all of your viewers and our team and the students might be interested in knowing, is this. There was a few handful of major players. There was AFA, it was ACE, it was NSCA, it was NASM, and it was ACSM. So they got together, the owners, in a closed door, saying, we're going to all get NCCA. So we're going to corner the market, because we don't think a lot of these smaller organizations will be able to qualify and earn their accreditation. But the then owner of APA, Linda Pfeffer, wonderful lady, said, we can't do this. The industry, we can't do this. So she got together with other owners, reached out to Dr. Salaria and said, we have to do something different. So they wanted to follow the route of licensing and actually create a licensed examination for the whole industry. And Dr. Ria created the National Board of Fitness Examiners. But there was too much invested with the other companies in certification examinations. So that didn't fly. So instead, Dr. Ria said, if Dan Rather came into our living room and said, so all you need to do to become a trainer is have a license that says you're 18, a heartbeat, CPR certification, and a certification test, and now you're qualified to work with people, our industry would be laughed at. So he went the route with Linda to seek accreditation at a higher level, the education. And that's when he decided to seek at that time, it was called DETC, which is now known as DEAC accreditation. So I spearheaded that whole process of accreditation. And then in 2009, we were the first to earn DEAC accreditation. And
Awesome.
even so much, Dr. Ria's belief in doing the right thing, he requested that I go help Linda Pfeffer and APA, a competitor, go through and earn their accreditation. So I actually helped them as well earn their accreditation after we did ours, because of their belief that we were doing the right thing and not being competitors, but being better for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, that's a unique story, because a lot of trainers are kind of pitched and told this notion of that, oh, you have to get a certification that is NCCA accredited, and that's something that is just not true per se. And when a lot of times I have to sit on the phone and explain to people that the NCCA accreditation is an accreditation solely for the integrity of a test and of test questions.
That is correct.
And there's no emphasis on the education being provided by the company for that examination.
And in reality, the truth is the NCCA regulations say that you actually cannot provide education for the test, for the preparation of the test. The two have to be separated completely, and you're not supposed to do anything with the education portion, because it removes the integrity of the test alone.
Mm-hmm. And this is, so I talk a ton about kind of the pitfalls of the current, we'll say, landscape of the fitness profession, of the personal training career path. And we've done some research, and I think you even came to us with the stat that 90% of people that become certified are no longer trainers after 2 years. Is that the correct stat?
That is correct. And I think this is a big issue that's a combination of two things. The owners of the certification companies, they know that personal training has one of the highest attrition rates. So they sign up 20,000 people. They know of that 20,000, most likely 18,000 won't be trainers anymore. So they'll get a new group of people. And the current pathway is take a test, earn a certification, and go and work for a gym. Mm-hmm. You work for that gym, and the gym turnover is even higher. The gym turnover is less than 9 months at a gym, that 80% of their employees will leave after that short period. And you can double check that stat with IRSA, mm-hmm. But the last I checked, that's the attrition rate. But early mornings, 5 o'clock in the morning, to get a client all day long, 5 o'clock at night. I remember when I was training full time, I would meet clients 4 o'clock in the morning, and then have clients until 8 or 9, and then have a slight break before lunch. I would go take a nap in the spa. I would be asleep because I was so tired. And then I'd have my afternoon group from lunch, 12 o'clock to about 2:30ish. Then I would take another nap, because then I'd have my after work group. And that was what you were doing. And that took me a while to get to that point where I was doing a ton of clients, but at a detriment to my own health, because you're not sleeping, you're trying to get your own workouts in. And also, for those new clients who don't have a mentor to teach them about business, getting to the point where you're having regular clients doesn't just happen. You have to know what to do. You have to know how to build your clientele. And that's not easy. So you have trainers who don't have clients, who get disillusioned, whose health starts to deteriorate because they're not taking care of themselves anymore. And they just drop away. So that initial love and passion for health and fitness gets sucked out of them. And that's what we want our students to know. And we don't want to lead them down that path. Mm-hmm. We want to lead them down a path that there's a much higher return on investment, training online, training with people in hybrid, and techniques that we teach through Fitness Mentors, because we've seen what happens, when you go the conventional path. And we know there's a better way.
Yeah, and kind of pointing back to the what the NCCA kind of focus has done is every sort of fitness certification company doesn't get their education audited. There's no proof that the education really helps them to achieve a specific goal aside from passing an exam. And going through all the certifications myself, as a student of the industry and of the profession, I noticed that there's not really, there's a major overemphasis on certain sciences that may not be relevant to being successful as a personal trainer. Obviously, you need the core sciences that help you train and come up with a great a fitness program to help people achieve a goal. But there's so much missing that includes items like developing your own process for business, getting clients, understanding how to train clients in different platforms like online, like a private training business, like opening a gym or a training at a small studio. There's so many different pathways that we see that trainers can be successful at that are not being emphasized in the sort of NCCA path certifications. And that's why when creating Fitness Mentors way back when, I saw a need and a hole in the industry that they're just pitching, hey, get the certification, go work at a gym, a major gym chain, and that's being a personal trainer. I saw a hole that really helped me to realize that there's no one really making an effort to create education that helps students truly get an education that takes them to a sustainable career as a personal trainer, in the sense of being able to make a or basically being able to create personal freedom and financial freedom that allows you to also not burn out. Like, for instance, that schedule that you just mentioned of waking up at 4 a.m. to train to 9, taking a nap, and then training till
And
8
that's
p.m., you know?
and as you know, that's not unusual. I'm sure you did the same thing.
I 100%
And
did.
and at a certain point, the return on investment is another thing that we do well is understanding the value of who you are. You know, you train for a gym and they charge $85 and you're making 20.
Mhm. That was
The,
my
the
start.
amount,
That exact amount right there. Yeah.
the ceiling, and what you're putting yourself in a box. You
Mhm.
know, and that isn't going to be good for you, and not knowing that, and that's what everyone assumes they should be doing.
Mhm.
They don't know any better. You know,
And
they
then that's
don't know
really
any better.
that's the pitfall of the industry. That's what the major certification bodies are kind of pitching is that sort of lifestyle, or we'll say that sort of path. So at Fitness Mentors, that has been a primary objective of mine and now ours as our team develops, to create the education that makes that takes the sort of stigma of that burnout life as a personal trainer and turns it into something that is a respectable career that truly provides the freedoms that really we all want, and just as humans, is to be able to do the things we love, to enjoy our lives while making enough money to support everything that we want to do. And
For sure, and
yeah.
that's what I saw as missing when I used to say Dr. Hatfield passed away in May of 2017. And Dr. Rhea decided at that time he was going to sell the ISSA. And at that point, from 1988 on, it was family owned
Mhm.
partnership. Dr. Rhea and Dr. Hatfield owned it together, and they ran it as a family. You know, Dr. Rhea's brother was in shipping. Dr. Hatfield's daughter was in education with me. Dr. Rhea's son did tech.
Mhm.
It was family run, and then we had an emphasis on the students. And I remember for the sale, they asked, the company was so surprised at our retention of how many students came back to us and continued to buy. And it was because of that relationship. We had people who would call back, who became disillusioned but decided they wanted to come back after 2 years. And we had the same core people there, and they're like, wow, the same people are there. So when they decided to sell it, it became more about the corporation and the bottom line.
Mhm.
And the same thing happened, the same company when Linda Pfeffer sold AFA in 2015.
Mhm.
First thing they did was they got rid of their DEAC accreditation
Mhm.
because they didn't think it was necessary anymore. And they downsized, and support staff was the first thing that was cut. So I saw that happening, and I saw that it was moving away from a student-centered approach.
Mhm.
So that's when I decided, that it was time for me to go, because I couldn't believe and support the direction of selling a student a package of 6 certifications, knowing that they had no support and had 6 months to finish 6 courses, which would take normally almost 2 years to do. And that wasn't a pathway for success. You know, that was just a pathway for frustration. And that's what happens to a lot of the students without that
Mhm.
guidance, without that support. You know, it's going to be very difficult for most to be successful. So that's
Yeah.
when I decided to leave the ISSA. And I loved my time at the ISSA. I loved my relationships. I'm still close with many students, but it saddens me when I hear, it's not the same. I try to make a phone call to get help, and instead of helping, the initial default is, well, do you want a refund?
Mhm.
It's They would rather just cut ties than service the students, because it's an easier route, and because of the fast turnover to get new students, they know that's an easier approach for them.
Mhm. And kind of talking about the sale of ISA, I believe ISA has sold what, 2 more times since that as
Y-
well.
Yeah, yes,
Mhm.
they sold in 2000 in February 2019, and
Mhm.
then again last year.
Mhm.
So, and that's all. that's what it turns into. It turns into what your EBITDA is, what the
Mhm.
value of the company is,
The
and if
bottom
you can
line. Yep.
sell,
Mhm.
and if you can sell it.
Yep.
That's what at that point, that's what the game turns into for corporations.
Yeah, and
Is
I
what
believe
can we do?
yeah, I believe NASM went through the same thing over the last 5 or so years as well. Through, I believe, their acquisition from, I forget exactly, but it might have been a venture capital firm to some degree. But
It was
yeah,
that's that same company. Actually, side bit story. Uh, that company, NASM, which was based out of Thousand Oaks,
Mhm.
AFA, which was based out of Culver City, and ISSA, which is based out of Santa Barbara, Carpinteria area.
Mhm.
That same company came to us first, and I remember we were in a meeting. It was 2000 and 2009, and they said, we want to buy you, NASM, and AFA,
Wow.
because we will corner the market if we have all three of you.
Mhm.
And Dr. Ria said, and we were in our board meeting room. Well, go talk to NASM, go talk to Linda Pfeffer, and see what they say. So they went to NASM first,
Mhm.
and they did buy NASM first, and then they moved everyone at NASM. They moved the main headquarters to Arizona.
Mhm.
So then they came.
Why might they move to Arizona? Just for
Well, because it costs a lot of money to run a business in California.
yeah. So
There's
basically, further emphasizing the bottom line.
further emphasizing the
Uh-huh.
bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then they came back to us and said, we want to buy you. And we're like, well, go talk to Linda Pfeffer. So lo and behold, they go to Linda Pfeffer. And now it's 2014. And they make Linda an offer in 2015, and Linda sells.
Mhm.
So now they have NASM and AFA. So they come back to Dr. Rhea again. Now they were in the running to buy ISSA, but ISSA went with a different group that they sold to, knowing that if they sold to a different group, then they would have the opportunity to go back to sell to them
Mm.
2 years later. So that's just the name of the game once you get into the corporate setting.
Mhm.
So I was a little disillusioned seeing that the route was certification. And when you were generous, Eddie, when you said, well, their pathway is certification to the gym. Once you get certified and their gym affiliations, at that point, they're just looking to stack more certifications.
Mhm.
That how you do at the gym isn't of consequence to them, because it doesn't fit in their model. It doesn't help them. So they don't have anybody who's tell them about the pitfalls, about proper health. And the biggest thing they don't emphasize, which is what Fitness Mentors does, is that in order to be successful, you have to be a lifelong learner.
Mm.
You have to continually be a lifelong learner. And a story I would tell new trainers is this: that easiest way to describe the body is all of our bodies biologically, physiologically work off of a negative feedback system.
Mm.
The best way to describe it is with a tan. It's the middle of winter like it is now. I'm a little bit darker because I'm a Filipino,
Mhm.
but say you're a little bit lighter, you don't have as much melanin in your skin. You go out in the sun for 5 minutes and you burn. The sun is the stress on your skin. It releases UVA and UVB rays. Your body says, ouch, we don't like that stress. So negative feedback, stress, it has to release melanin to handle the stress. So next time you can be in the sun for 6 minutes before you burn. Ow. So your body's saying, hey, dummy, you have to learn what to do. And the same thing happens with working out. If you don't create the proper program design and go at it too hard, your body burns out and says, ouch, stop it.
Mhm.
You're stressing our body too much. You're actually causing damage. It will remodel to handle that stress. Your fibers are going to get bigger. Your conditioning is going to get better, but your body's like, you have to moderate it. So you learn to moderate that stress. In the same way, if you stop going in the sun, that tan that you got, what happens to it in the wintertime? It disappears because our bodies operate off negative feedback. If you're not stressing your system, it's going to acclimate, it's going to regress. The same thing happens with working out. It will regress. You will lose your muscle mass, you'll lose your conditioning, and rather fast. And that's the same thing that happens in business and with your brain. If you don't stress your brain in a positive way to learn more, be around people who can guide you, you will not grow. You are actually stagnate and regress. And that's what we're here for, is to challenge you, give you platforms and formats to help you be successful in pathways that we know are replicable and scalable so that you can achieve success and joy and time with your family and that balance that's necessary to balance that passion we all have for fitness, but to turn it into an awesome purpose and purpose-driven life to help others, make relationships, and see other people strive and be successful and be healthy, which is really wonderful when you get to be part of those people's lives and relationships. It just helps you grow as well.
Awesome, man. And we are really making an effort to create those pathways, and specifically one of the ones which we've launched basically about 2 months ago was our Discord. And for those of you that are not in our Discord, definitely join. But for those of you that have been a part of our Discord, Pat's in there providing some of the most detailed responses to amazing questions that we're all in there, continuously growing, continuously learning. And this is something that we feel is so important for the industry and missing from the industry, is this platform of connection between thousands of fitness professionals that we can get together, grow, learn, and then support each other to reach this goal of complete personal financial freedom in which we can do the things that we love. So I guess kind of, or if you want to comment on that, go for it.
To piggyback on what you're talking about, the Discord, in this short period of time, I have received such tremendous feedback on the power it provides, of being with like-minded individuals who are all striving for a common cause, all looking to improve themselves and all willing to accept advice and to grow. And we see that from the ongoing visits that our students and non-students are coming to participate on a regular basis, because they see the value of what they're going to get from this and the tidbits of the coaches and what they share. It's so impactful and powerful that this is going to grow to the point where there's going to be so many people, and it's going to be such a value not only to the fitness mentors community but to the industry as a whole.
I love it. And that's really the goal. I mean, I'll go ahead and throw a link down in the show notes right now. So for those of you that are listening right now that want to join the Discord, go and click that link right below this audio video, and you'll be able to join there. But I guess kind of wrapping everything up, what do you feel is, or what is the direction that we are heading as a company for fitness mentors? Where do you feel that this next sort of step is going to help change the industry?
Well, the big reason why I wanted to be part of Fitness Mentors is because in the sale and working with other companies, what I kept hearing from the buyers was, that they're looking for somebody in the industry who has focused on the business aspect and the online aspect of developing a personal trainer. And that was just as recent as a year or 2 years ago, because it is not out there. I've talked to trainers who've been trainers for a decade, 2 decades, and who shared with me, if I could tell my younger self, I would focus on what it takes to build my business. Because you can look a certain way and you can have decent programming, but if you don't have the tools and a pathway to build your business, and with the foresight of what's coming, online, hybrid, the metaverse, you're going to be left behind. And then you intermix all of that with what I think is key is you need to have good mentors. You need to have people who have understand what it takes to be successful because they've done it before. Not only have they done it, but there is a plan in place that is replicable and scalable if you're willing to follow and if you're willing to do what's taught. Then I'm super excited because I think if we can provide that to the industry, then we'll have a lot of individuals who are happy and helping others, and them helping others will just spread. And I think that's the direction Fitness Mentors is going to go. We already have wonderful courses. We have great coaches, but what we have are pathways and models on the business side, which I think is what's missing right now. Mm-hmm. So throughout the industry, whether you have a certification or not, I think will show to the industry that those pathways and those what we teach in conjunction with our coaches is why people are gonna come to us and why we're gonna create successful, qualified, and profitable alumni.
I love it. And that aligns so much with what I commonly say when I on these podcasts. I love to talk about the bigger picture more, and that bigger picture is creating a community of professionals that are successful that can help more people. Because when we as personal trainers go out and help people become healthier, they become a better version of themselves, which allows them to do their craft, and exponentially bleeds into the world this message of self-respect, self-love, overall health in all aspects, and that really makes the world a bigger, better place, and really allows us to have that true passion and mission completed. So Pat, it was awesome having you on the podcast. I knew this was going to be a excellent episode, and you definitely provided some amazing insight for our students. So thank you so much.
It was my pleasure, Eddie, and I look forward to doing many more podcasts with you for our students. Have so much more to share so that all of them can grow in the near future.
Love it. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much for checking out the Certified Personal Trainer podcast. I will see you guys next week. Talk then. Cheers.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
As always, thanks for listening to the Certified Personal Trainer podcast. You can learn more about Fitness Mentors at fitnessmentors.com. Be sure to share this podcast on social media. And remember, we are here to help you succeed.